You know what I think would be hilarious is a stand-up comedy show based in the MCU. Just imagine all the fun superhero jokes you could tell.
Okay, no, try. What?
Okay.
Like, for instance, what? Get me on board.
Let's just say Quicksilver isn't only fast at running. That's a sex joke.
Okay. I don't really like it. What else you got?
I'm out. That's it.
Okay, that's it. So comedy in the MCU, but it's one joke about Quicksilver busting too fast.
Well, the funny part of that joke,
that's the riff.
The funny part of that joke is well, spoiler alert. He's already dead at this point.
Sure.
So that's the funny part.
Oh.
Okay, how
What?
I don't
Yeah,
I don't
I'm not
get
putting
it.
two and
How's
two
that
together
the funny
here.
part. Yeah.
All right, well that didn't work.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Captain America.
And I'm Spider-Man. Except for in our art, I am Thor.
But I'm also Thor, but call me Mighty Thor.
Oh, wow, that's very progressive of you,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah,
I think so too.
All right. Yeah, I think we nailed that
Yeah,
one.
that was a good one. I like that we
Yeah.
keep it fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. Every week. Hey, you never know what you're gonna. Every 2 weeks, you never know what you're gonna get from us. What are they gonna do? Are they gonna say their names, or are they gonna mix it up with a superhero name? I think that's what the people are really tuning in for at this point.
Yeah, that and the creativity of our thoughts and opinions.
You got to keep them on your toes at all times.
At all times. What's going on, everyone? It's Dan's birthday today, as I stated before. This is normally the point in time where I introduce you all to the show, but I figured as a fun change of pace for Dan's birthday, I'd let him do the introduction. So by comparison, you can see how much better I am at it. Dan, please take it away.
Yeah, true. Normally, Christian sits here and gives you all the notes about the movie, tells you who directed it, what it made, got a little bit of background, and maybe how it affects the future of the MCU. But you know what? Today, I think I'm going to take that on. So hopefully
he's going to take that on. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully I'll do okay this time.
Right. Yeah. I kind of doubt
this might
it.
Be a little weird.
But you know what? We'll see. This is just a test. We don't have to, we're not married to anything. We don't have to commit to this.
Sure.
We'll try this out. And maybe you're good at it, and maybe this becomes a part of the format later.
Well,
and I
we'll
don't
see.
know, maybe,
Well, it's time to say goodbye to Paramount Pictures, because this is the last of the Paramount Pictures releases before Disney takes over for the Avengers.
What? No.
I know. We're going to miss Paramount Pictures and their almost edginess. This was released in July, of 2011. What a timing we've set for this.
What a month.
It is, true. A lot of great people born and a lot of great movies released. I'm guessing that opinion will differ here. This was directed by Joe Johnston. Everyone knows Joe, obviously, so we don't need to talk about him.
I'm sorry, what are you, a fucking idiot?
Yeah.
Never heard of Joe Johnston?
Yeah.
Why don't you crawl back under that rock that you live under?
True. This movie made a ton of money, obviously, $370 million. At the time, Chris Evans was praised for the performance in this movie. And one of the things that was called out quite a lot was the depiction of 1940s, which I personally was not there for. So I'm going to take this movie's word that it accurately depicted the 1940s. This movie actually began as a concept back in 1997 and was actually scheduled for distribution by a company called Artisan Entertainment. There was lawsuits and money thrown around and issues and blah, blah, blah. And finally, Marvel Studios got the rights back to this, and they received a loan from Merrill Lynch to make this movie, and they planned to release the film through Paramount, which they ended up doing. There were a couple other directors thrown around before Joe Johnston, like Jon Favreau. I don't know. I mean, it's Joe Johnston. Why would you pass the opportunity up? So Joe took that over. And finally, what I noticed out of this, just as a call out here at the top, is there were a lot of people in this movie that it's been a long time. I think the last time I actually watched this movie all the way through was when it came out in theaters. But Bucky, Captain America, obviously, Peggy Carter, young Howard Stark, Dr. Zola, Red Skull, Nick Fury, all these people make at least one more appearance throughout the rest of the MCU. And sometimes more, significantly more than that, obviously. So it's kind of interesting going through these early movies and seeing, and some of the things I'll note throughout the movie here is how many lines make reappearances, how many characters, how many situations are called back to. It's actually making me appreciate the MCU even more than I did before, if you could believe it. Wow.
Yeah, that must be exciting for you, dude.
For me, it is very exciting, actually. So that's your quick recap. And Christian, I really hope I did you justice there.
Yeah, I mean, I have some notes. We can go over them after the show. I think that there's a few of those things I'm going to need to have a stern talking with you about. Yeah. Frankly, maybe some areas where I would have punched it up a little bit, added in a little bit of humor. I definitely saw some missed opportunities there.
Sure.
I think that if you think that this shit, pardon the French, but I think if you think that this shit is going to fly every week, you got another fucking thing coming, you motherfucker.
Okay, well, good thing we put the explicit tag. All right.
Right, but we can move past it
for
now.
Okay. Well, we'll start here with another flash forward intro. We had one of these in Thor as well, and now we are looking at the ice. What could be in this ice? I don't know. Turns out it's some giant machine. Maybe a plane?
Yeah, you guys ever see John Carpenter's The Thing?
No. No.
That's like one of my favorite. Jesus Christ, dude. You know what, dude? When we're done, like with this charade of whatever the hell this podcast is, we need to have another podcast called Christian Movies, where I make you watch things that I like. But anyway, the intro's like The Thing. But never mind, if you've never seen The Thing, it won't matter. But it is.
Yeah.
Just trust me.
So wait, if you really love that movie, and this is like The Thing, that means you really enjoyed this intro.
Yeah, that means, the intro, definitely a high point of the movie, because I saw it and I was like, oh, it's like The Thing. And then it made me think about how much I like The Thing. And then I was enjoying myself. And then it kind of goes off the rails from there.
Right. Okay, well, great. Now we're in 1942 Norway. And we get the first look at a Hydra symbol here.
By the way, I thought this was Captain America. It's just Norway. What's going on here? Anyway, please continue.
Yeah, no, it seems like they're looking for something very important. And what I noticed, by the way, throughout this movie again, is there were a lot of one-off actors here who are at least now pretty big actors, included David Bradley, who played the person that was in that church protecting what we now know is the Tesseract. Throughout this movie,
we don't know that
yet. They call it the Tesseract.
Oh, wait, do they? Oh, I guess I wasn't paying attention.
If you were, okay.
No. Wait, no.
Well, first they find the fake Tesseract in the coffin,
Right.
which is the little glass piece, right? And then he calls out on the wall, there's a giant wood carving of Yggdrasil.
Yggdrasil.
Whoa.
Yggdrasil.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which was explained
We will find our power in Yggdrasil.
This is going really well so far. This was a concept explained in Thor, actually. So another little callback to the Thor movie. This is the tree of the world. The world tree.
Yep.
The world tree. But you know what? That first little box, that was a fake out. He got you. That thing in the coffin, that wasn't real. Turns out the real Tesseract was hidden in the wall.
Yeah, personally, I like to keep my hidden decoys about 10 feet from where the real one is. That's my personal opinion on how to hide things.
Right, yeah, because it keeps people on their toes at that point. The ones that are truly worthy of the power will anticipate that the real thing is actually just 10 feet away. And who's more deserving of a Tesseract than Nazis? That's what I've always said.
Yeah, I know. You say it too much, honestly.
It's basically my catchphrase. At this point, it makes people around me very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the
Just
things...
like now.
Yeah, kind of like how you pointed out too. I didn't realize like not only are there a lot of big characters that are introduced in this movie, but like all of the actors are pretty much recognizable from their own movies. Like they have a lot of like actually big, well-known actors in this that just play like random ass roles. Like Mr. Filch from Harry Potter is just there and he dies in like 1 second.
Yeah, he also plays the first Doctor in the new Doctor Who series, which was pretty cool.
You're right.
Yeah. So he's been in a lot of things, and so it was really crazy to see just a kind of throwaway character here at the start for him to be in, and we'll also get some other characters from Doctor Who and more later on in the movie here. So we see that the Tesseract is taken away, but now we're heading to the good old US of A. And this, I think, is going to be our our real topic of conversation is CGI, small and scrawny Steve Rogers.
Small and scrawny Steve Rogers.
I was not about that, honestly. Like that was, I don't know, like how they made that.
Well, I can tell you how they made it.
Here we go.
Oh yeah, please.
So what they did was the process varies from shot to shot, but basically like the blueprint for it was that you would shoot one scene of Chris Evans acting out the part as himself, because he's huge and jacked, and then you shoot another scene, the same scene with a different actor. I think this guy's name was Leander Deeney or something like that, was like the scrawny body double for Steve Rogers, and he would act and try to mimic Chris Evans' performance. And then they would shoot a third scene of just the background with no actors in it, so that like later on when they did all the CG and like shrunk Chris Evans down to be like the 5'4" scrawny kid, all the space like in the background that his giant body took up could now be replaced with like the background that was just shot with no actors. And then they would do like a bunch of depending on the shot, they would do a bunch of CG like face replacement and also sculpt out like how skinny they needed him to be consistent throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, this was a ballsy move to do this for the whole. What was this? It was probably the first at least 45 minutes of the movie, 30, 45 minutes of the movie,
like a full third.
Before he beefs up. It was a ballsy move. The CGI was a bit rough, for sure. But
did you think so? I thought it was fucking insane.
I thought. See, this is. I think the CGI actually was pretty good here, but what is like when you're jacked, when you're like just fucking shooting like steroids and you're getting like, you know, that steroid pump on, like it does stuff to your face as well. And that was the thing that kind of like threw me off. Is there's the thing where it's like you're sweating so many steroids that like you have like jaw muscles and like, you know what, and so it was weird to see this dude. It's like because like the musculature in Chris Evans' face is like pronounced, like it's crazy, like every single point of muscle on that guy's body is like bulging. And so it was weird because it's like this guy with this muscly ass face, which is already kind of off-putting because like normal people don't really have muscly faces, but he does. And then you like juxtapose that to this like scrawny body, and it just like did this uncanny valley thing for me where I'm just like, that's not right. Something about this is not correct, you know, like the entire time I was watching.
It's interesting that you point that out because they also did on top of face replacement, they did trim down a lot of his like jaw and like facial structure to make him more scrawny looking.
Right, which just goes to show how many steroids he was actually
he's got a lot
taking.
of muscles on his face. For sure.
Yeah, I think that's what I mean by the CGI being rough, or I guess maybe CGI isn't the right word here. I think it is, but like some of the lighting on his face sometimes was a little off. His ears sometimes seemed to be like artificially pushed back, or the lining kind of around his head was clearly not, I don't know, mixing in with the environment super well, but it didn't take me out of it 95% of the time. Like there was one scene where he's sitting in the medical room with the doctor who's going to make the decision as to whether he's going to be part of the super soldier program, and he's looking directly at him, and just like his ears seem cut off to a bit, like his face, the lighting is off. It's just, there were certain points like that. But I will say, pretty impressive considering, again, this was now 11 years ago, and it was made probably 12, 13 years ago. For that technology to be that good and to do it for literally a third of the movie like that, I thought was great. I thought they did a pretty good job there.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was funny how the Captain America character is just like this wiener who gets beat up constantly, and that was sort of the extension, like because we start with him in a movie theater. And then there's some military propaganda happening, which is a large theme in this movie, as it has been a large theme in Thor.
I was waiting for this.
In Iron Man 2, it was a large theme in the Hulk, as it was a large theme in Iron Man. So, you know, that's kind of... But this one especially, you know, because, like, I feel like you can really... Like, as soon as Nazis are a part of the plot, you can really just, like, pump that military propaganda. And, of course, Iron Man being a military man himself. It was just kind of the perfect storm of that. But anyway, they're inside of a theater, and they're watching this military recruitment video. And then there's some guy at the front of the theater who's like, I want to see the cartoons. Who even cares about the military? To which Captain America, at this point, just some random nobody is like, hey, why don't you go ahead and show a little respect there, guy? You know. And then it's a scene of him getting the shit beaten out of him behind a movie theater for antagonizing a guy in the theater. But that's not all, because he goes on throughout this whole sequence of him being scrawny to, at various points, they really want to make sure that you know that this guy just gets the shit kicked out of him all the time. There's like a scene where they're in a car and he's like, I got beat up in that alley, and I got beat up in that alley, and I got beat up in that alley, and I got beat up in... And it's just like, damn, dude. Like, it kind of made me wonder, it's like, why do you even want to fight for this country? Like, so hard, dude. It doesn't seem like anyone's nice to you, and also your entire life is just getting rocked by bullies, which is another theme of this movie.
Well, yeah.
Well, don't forget, he can do this all day.
Yeah, he can do it all day and every day, for that matter.
Yeah, and he does do it all day and every day.
Yeah, little spoiler, you're gonna hear that line a lot.
You're gonna hear it
MCU.
All day if you watch the MCU.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
And every day.
Love it. Well, what I again, knowing that Bucky Barnes was part of this movie, seeing him come in the alleyway and save Steve from this bully, you know, what was crazy is just, again, remembering that Sebastian Stan has been in the MCU since this movie 11 years ago. And so it's kind of just interesting rewatching these for the first time again and seeing Sebastian Stan, who is still in the MCU and still doing new products for them, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, when he entered onto his first scene, I didn't realize how different he seems than like when he shows up later. You know, he almost seemed, I mean, like, he pretty much is a different character in a sense, but he just feels like a totally different person, which is pretty cool, honestly.
Yeah, again, it's cool to see the progression over years of movies and shows. So now we get to see them go on their first, well, it was supposed to be a double date, but Steve's got other plans. But this is another...
It's supposed to be a double date, but Steve's a giant dork and no one likes him. And they really want to make sure that point's communicated as often as possible to the audience.
Yeah, he's not quite as into the ladies as he is into serving his country.
And getting beaten up.
All day,
right?
I might point out.
All day. And he can do it all day and does.
Yeah. Well, one of the dates is Jenna Coleman, who goes on to be a companion in Doctor Who, and becomes a really big movie star. Which again is crazy to see that this very one-off disposable character that makes no further appearances in the MCU just shows up like this and ends up becoming a really big actress. So that was another cool one to see. And then we see,
and they're.
Yeah.
Oh well, and then they're at the world of tomorrow, which is of course a hold on, what is this? A crossover episode? Because that's all. Hey, the world of tomorrow. That's the annual Stark thing that some Russian guy tries to blow up with machines later, but wouldn't you know, Steve doesn't know that that's about to happen in 70 years. So anyway, back to you, Dan.
Yeah, that's true. He doesn't know what's going to happen in 70 years. You really nailed that one.
Thank you.
Yeah, we do see young Howard Stark. Which again, this is not the last time we'll see him, but this is again cool to see kind of the origins of these characters again after not watching these for a long time. But we get kind of the Elon Musk of Howard Starks here, showing off his new car invention that, guess what? You're no longer going to need those tires anymore because your cars, they're going to levitate.
Right, and it's also very Elon Musk-esque because it just doesn't work correctly.
Yeah. He's like, but it will.
Yeah.
I told you it would take a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as we're looking through this world of tomorrow, and then we get the shots of Steve looking for ways to get recruited into the army during this world of tomorrow event, I wrote this line, which was, man, there's a lot of military propaganda. I can't wait to hear Christian's thoughts.
Yeah.
Right, dude. Well, I mean, because it is like legit, like one of my biggest problems with this movie is the fact that like the character of the Steve just doesn't make any sense. Like there's no motivation behind his actions. Like in the beginning, like they need a way to push him from being this tiny dork that everybody picks on to being Captain America. But like the entire thing is just it's kind of this young man indoctrinated by patriotic fervor. Like I don't even necessarily think it like paints him in a fantastic light because he's just like, I want to join the military, and then they keep saying no, and then he just continues to try to join the military because he has this sense of like patriotic duty or whatever. But then again, it's like you see him back at home and it's like no one respects him and everyone's like a dick to him and like whatever. So it kind of begs the question, like, why does he even like care about any of this really? It's like the country that he's trying to fight for hates him until he gets jacked, which I think is kind of also funny because ain't that just the way that it goes? It's like everyone's a dick to him until he's handsome, and then all of a sudden everyone's really nice to him, which is probably kind of how it goes.
Well, that's not 100% true. I mean, Peggy was nice to him before. People were shitty to him before. And then even when he's Captain America, the first time he goes out there to the military, nobody's cool with him still. They throw tomatoes at him. Yeah. Right? Like,
yeah, which, by the way, who gave them tomatoes?
That's what I was wondering,
Why do they have tomatoes? I was the entire time I was watching that, I was just like, what the fuck? Like you're just holding tomatoes.
Yeah, as soon as the soldiers figured out that there was going to be a show for them, they're like, oh, I gotta keep these tomatoes on hand just in case.
In case, yeah.
I mean, is it that crazy to think that some guy called Captain America is going to come out and put a show on for you, and maybe you're going to fuck with him, and maybe you bring some tomatoes to throw at him? I don't think that's
crazy.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
I don't think
you're trying to explain that as if that's not crazy. That is
that's
crazy.
deranged behavior, dude.
Yeah,
Well,
to
but-
answer your
okay,
question,
but
yes, that's crazy.
You're acting like there's not deranged behavior in that kind of situation.
In the United States military, Dan, what are you suggesting?
Yeah.
right,
What are
well,
you
we'll
insinuating
move on.
here?
I'm
Yeah,
not.
I, for one, support the troops,
Okay.
unlike Dan, who
Yeah.
obviously does not. Moving
Yeah.
on.
Yeah,
but-
that's why you say we need less military propaganda because you support them so much, right? Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
because you know what? Our boys overseas, they got it. They don't need you.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back
Because
to
that's how much I support the military. I think everyone in the military right now, they got it. They don't need
Yeah.
more people. I support them that much. That's how much I believe in them.
Sure, of course. Well, more on the note of things popping up later on. You're taking all this stupid with you as Bucky goes away to have a double date by himself, while Steve here goes to try to sign up again and falsify information, I guess, for the 6th time to try to get into the military, which, wild again. That I think it was a stretch at that point for me. That's where it became the stretch. Was like, okay, this guy's now literally lying to try to get into here.
Well, I just kind of think like a reoccurring theme that I see in these movies is that it's like a lot of stuff I think sort of happens for the sake of the audience more than it happens for the sake of like creating a real story, you know, which is like fine. I mean, I don't like that, but like that's a way to make a movie, you know, but I kind of think like the whole thing of him being like, you're never going to get into the military. You're a 90-pound asthmatic. And he's just like, but I have to. And that's sort of the depth of the character. It's like it feels more like it's trying to get the audience on board with this idea that he's this like great guy. He's this great patriotic man that was dealt a bad hand. But, you know, again, like the world doesn't really work like that.
I'm gonna take a side. I'm gonna take the writer's side for a second because while that is a good point, and looking at it in a different perspective, like my perspective right now is like he's been scrawny all his life. People have picked on him, so he's kind of got something to prove. And so that to me would feel like a decent motivator for him to just like keep trying to do all this stuff. And they're also trying to point out that he is like not okay with watching people die and him not having some part in it, right? He like not killing people, but like trying to change the outcome of people dying.
Right, because he actually specifically states he doesn't want to kill
he doesn't want to kill anyone unless they're bullies. He's very specific about this. He doesn't care who they are.
And see, a thing I thought was really fucking funny about this movie is how it's like the entire thing is like really just predicated upon him hating bullies, and he's like just juxtaposed to Nazis, and there's just like all this suggestion that it's like, and who are bigger bullies than Nazis? And it's just like it's kind of like infantilizing like Nazis a little bit, which sort of just happens because it's just like, oh yeah, these bullies, like, you know, it's like the people that beat me up back at home, those were bullies. And also, you know what? I can't stand bullies, and therefore I'm going to bring the fights to the biggest bullies of all, which are, of course, the Nazis.
Well, and this is not completely inaccurate, though, to how people saw this war and these Nazis and other things from their perspective, meaning there were comic books back in the day that literally were Superman punching Hitler in the face, right?
Sure.
Like there were these comic books that came out that kind of made the Nazis seem like evil villains, like cartoon characters, right? And that they needed to just get a punch in the face and that was it. We'd take them out, right? And so I don't think it was an unrealistic view of how people were viewing this war at the time.
I get that. I just also think it's kind of funny because it just sort of downplays Nazis a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just like, you know, it's just kind of like, oh man, you hear about like the Nazis bullying those Jews, like, oh man, that was really fucked up when they bullied them like that. You know, it's like the stakes are a little higher.
Yeah, but I mean,
you know, whatever.
you need need to make them into some sort of cartoony villain in order to get
Sure.
the go ahead to just like blast them into oblivion with like laser guns later on, right?
Right. Yeah.
So-
100%.
Yeah. Well, now we get the Tesseract being brought back, and we see our first look at Dr. Zola, who this is not their, I think, not their final appearance. And they also don't die at the end of this, so that's easy enough. And so they get their first kind of test with the Tesseract to see what kind of power this thing's going to put out, and kind of just gives a hint towards what's coming. But now we see some of the bigger players here. We get Peggy Carter. We get Tommy Lee Jones' character, which now I'm blanking off the top of my head what his name even was. And we're starting to see now Chris Rogers. Steve Rogers. Holy shit. Steve Rogers in the military, and our first mention of the Super Soldier program, which is the program to try to build soldiers with superpowers.
Yeah, and they do this like cool training montage. I say cool kind of sarcastically because like montages really need to be good for them to be justified in a movie. And
Sure.
Steve, much like a character called Mulan from Disney's Mulan, struggles in like every exercise and then gets bullied for it, which is I don't know, a little bit of a parallel in Disney universes.
You know, as they're doing their little jog, their run through the base. There's a flagpole there, and nobody's gotten that flag in 17 years. But if someone gets it, guess what? They get to ride back in the car all the way back.
Yeah, they get to ride back in the car with the hot chick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is my.
I mean, it is the 40s, so let's just.
Yeah. Well, also,
She's the only
I
chick.
thought.
Yeah.
Right. Well, also, what was that girl's name?
Peggy
Peggy
Carter.
Carter?
Peggy Carter. Yeah, it's like it's such a classic Marvel movie thing where they're like, okay, there's this like unbelievably attractive woman that's so attractive she seems kind of out of place in this arena, and then a guy is like, hey, I don't respect you because you're out of place here. You're a hot girl, so you know what? So I'm not going to give you the respect you deserve. And then she just like punches him in the head and knocks him out. And then it's like, oh, okay, now we all respect. It's like I just feel like in every single one of these movies, it's like there's just that scene that they have to get out of the way, where it's like okay, it's like a hot girl, but then she punches someone. It's like, okay, so now she's one of the boys. All right, moving on, you know, and we definitely got that scene in this movie too.
Yeah, we did. We got the punch in the face.
Yep.
Going back to the flag thing, because they were like, yeah, you get to go and you get a good boon if you get the flag at the top of this pole, and everyone's trying to climb it. They can't climb it. It's a pretty thick pole, and he just goes and like takes a bolt out, and the pole falls down. And he grabs the flag, but the entire time I was wondering, like, what does this show about Steve's character? Because like the big thing about Steve is that he's pure of heart, right? And him getting a flag from a pole through like just like common sense thinking doesn't really amplify that part of his personality.
I was thinking the same thing though. Like I feel like the Steve thing would have been that he like tries to climb the pole, and then it's like this thing where it's like now the sun is setting
and he's still
just
trying.
determined.
Yeah.
He's still just trying. Yeah.
I get that, but I also see it differently because the way that I saw it was that all of those guys were literally pushing and fighting each other to try to get onto that pole to try to get the flag. And the way that I saw it was that Steve would take a route that wouldn't require him to try to beat up his fellow army mates into trying to get this flag off of this pole. Instead, he would use some level of common sense that didn't require that forcefulness to get this flag.
Okay, see, I'm gonna give you that, but like I really like that idea, Dan. But I think that they could have done it that way, but done it better, and just had them literally beating each other up to try to get onto the pole, and then it would have sold that point better. But I agree. You should write the MCU.
Thank you. I agree with you. I'm very good at writing. Yeah, you know what? I agree. There's a balance there. So if it was like everyone but 2 people went back to the line because they gave up, and those 2 people were fighting it out to try to be the ones to climb it, and then he pulled the thing and got the flag.
Yeah.
Sure. I think there's a middle ground to have been found there. So, yeah, but I was more right. Okay, cool. All
right. Birthday boy, let's go.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, hey, happy birthday, Dan.
Thank you so much. Thanks for giving me that one because I was right. All right, we do also see Steve jump on the grenade, which was
Dude, that scene. No, hold on. We're not just gonna brush past the Steve. That was the dumbest shit I've ever seen in a movie ever, possibly. Because again, it's like, I'm really starting to like whittle it down. And I like said it before, because I think before we started this experience of watching all the MCU movies, I was kind of like, I don't like these movies. But then people were like, why? And I was like, I can't completely put my finger on, but like, I'm starting to be able to really put my finger on it. And it's the fact that this is like another scene that felt like it was just like completely for the audience and was just weird in the context of the movie. It's like a grenade gets thrown and then everyone's like, a grenade. And then Steve like jumps on it, which is fine. By the way, it's like whatever. That's not even necessarily the thing I had an issue with, even though it's kind of weird. It's like it's the thing that happens afterwards where he's just like, get down, everybody get to safety, come on, because now there's like this exposition scene where it's like he's already jumped on the grenade, and that already proves the point. Like the point that scene's trying to make is that Steve jumps on the grenade. If he had just closed his eyes, and balled himself up, that would have been like, oh, okay, what a self-sacrifice. But then they're like, but we're not sure if the audience is totally gonna get like exactly that this was like a heroic act. So now we need to like throw all this dialogue in after the fact where he's like telling everybody to get down, and then he like tells everybody to save themselves, and it's like, okay, and just in case you haven't been able to tell that he's this great guy, then there's a scene of like the 2 people talking. They're like, see, I told you that he was a great guy because he threw himself onto that grenade. It's like that happens, and then that act has to be like reinforced 3 times just to make sure that like drooling troglodytes in the audience can be 100% certain as to what just happened.
Well, I think the scene would have been pretty bland with no dialogue or like him saying anything, because like realistically, if you jump onto a grenade and people aren't like, you're sacrificing yourself, and people aren't like getting far enough away for your sacrifice to be like worth the sacrifice, you're gonna be like, get the fuck out of here, dude. Like, what are you doing? But then also a big part of like his training montage was that the sergeant, what's his name? We still don't remember his name.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones. I was looking for a character name, but Tommy Lee Jones and Stanley Tucci are just like, Stanley Tucci is trying to convince Tommy Lee Jones that this is the kid. Like, that's the whole point of this training montage. And, like, even though Steve fails at the training montage, like, he's still the dude that they, like, that's the whole point, was that they were, like, trying to convince Tommy Lee Jones of.
Right, yeah. But I still think it would have convinced Tommy Lee Jones if he had just jumped on the grenade. Like,
you think
like,
you could have been sold
like,
with, like, a look, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Whereas that scene, it just keeps fucking going. It's like he already jumped on the grenade. It's like if you're halfway paying attention, it's like you get it. Tommy Lee Jones gets it. The scientist dude gets to be smug because he proved his point. But it's like there's just a lot of parts in this movie where it's like the action happens and you're like, oh, I see what's happening. And then there's like exposition where it's like being explained to you why this thing that happened is relevant, where it's like the explanation doesn't really need to happen. It's like the thing happen. You can just move on from that point. But it's just like, well, there's children watching this movie, so we really need to make sure that they understand as well. You know?
I mean, that's true. There are children watching this movie.
It's true. There are, I would say, predominantly children.
Yeah. Well, now we're going to learn a little bit more about Hydra, which is a leading force here over the course of the next few movies and further on past this in the MCU. Hydra is a research arm of the Nazis, but what we're finding out through this movie is quickly becoming almost a cult, right? That's run by Johann Schmidt, who we found out is the guy who went to find the Tesseract in the start of the movie.
Is that Agent Smith?
Yeah,
by
I
the
love
way?
that it's Agent Smith playing Johann Schmidt.
Is it? Okay.
Smith,
Yeah. Word.
Schmidt. Anyway.
Yeah. So we'll get the first look here at Hydra, and we also kind of saw little hints that something's wrong with this guy's face in previous moments, but now we're seeing a dark silhouette of Johann Schmidt while he's being painted, while this artist looks like he's going to throw up in his mouth every 4 seconds while he's trying to get this painting done. But we, again... it's seemingly becoming more of a cult that praises Johann Schmidt in his direction for how he wants to take over the world, utilizing this Tesseract and the unlimited power that it seems to bring to him. And so it's now we just got to wait to see that full reveal of the Red Skull.
And can I say too, and this is going to be like kind of uncharacteristically positive of me, but I think Hydra's cool. Like, and I think it's actually like a smart. Well, I think it's like a smart decision that they did as writers, because you can't just like make Nazis cool. You know, I mean, you could, but that would be weird to do. You know,
Sure.
like, but. I think that they like solve that nicely by being like, okay, there's this like offshoot of Nazis who, you know, they're Nazis, they're Nazi-esque for sure, but like they're kind of even more cartoonishly evil than Hitler could ever be, and they sort of have their own thing going on. And then you can make those guys kind of cool, you know, because then you're not like, you know, you're not totally glorifying the source material. You're sort of glorifying this imagined evil enterprise that's now just sort of loosely based on Nazism. And I thought they did a cool job with that. Like every time the like villains were on screen, I was like, oh, this is like cool performances, and I don't feel horrible because I'm not glorifying Nazis. I think Hydra's dope, but I'll go on record as saying Nazis aren't.
Very brave of you. Very brave.
Thank you.
Well, we'll skip past the car scene where Steve says he's been beat up in a bunch of alleys and that he's waiting for the right dance partner.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. And then also there's like, again, dude, just this fucking shit for the fucking audience, bro. Like he's like talking to the woman and she's just like, you haven't really talked to women before, have you, Steve? And he's just like, no, I'm just a bumbling dork that gets beaten up. Of course, this is the longest conversation I've ever had with a woman. It's like I get it. I fucking get it. You're like a dork. Like I don't need all of these scenes explaining to me how much of a dork it's like the one scene of him getting beaten up in the movie theater. I'm like, oh, this guy's a fucking weasel. And then it's just like fucking 25 minutes of just making sure you know that like this dude really is hopeless.
Yeah.
I think that's how stories work.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I think I could have written it better. I think I would have written it that he got beaten to death in the alley at that movie theater, and then this never happened.
Okay. Well, now we don't have to deal with Scrawny Steve anymore because Howard Stark kicks off the machine and he's injected with the super serum, and he is now Big Steve.
Big Steve.
Big old Steve America, as they call him.
Yeah.
And so we see that the super serum worked. We also see that someone from Hydra broke into the ranks of this military operation somehow and made his way inside to steal some of that super serum.
Yeah, this was like probably the dumbest part of the entire fucking movie.
Yeah. Well, because it's like, Steve, you're jacked now. Do something about this. Like, they're all like in this room, and it's like clear that, you know, this guy has like a lighter that's actually a detonator, which he like for some reason puts inside of an empty room with no one in it, and then blows it up, and it's just kind of like, okay, sure, bro. And like, I mean, he has a cyanide capsule. He knows he's gonna die anyway. Like, you know, it's like just there's, you know, it's like if you're literally willing to die for your mission, just put it in the room with all the people. And
But that
in
wasn't
fact,
the
why
goal.
don't you just
That wasn't the goal, though,
Yeah.
right? The goal was
What,
to distract so he could take the serum and bring it back. Every one of them in Hydra has the capsule in case of getting captured.
right in case of emergency?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think it was that weird that he placed the explosion there, you know, in hopes that he doesn't blow up the serum or blow up anything else that's important, including himself, so that he could make a distraction, grab the serum, and get out. I don't think what they prepared for, though, was the fact that Steve Rogers would be super at this point.
Well, no.
Yeah.
The other weird thing is that there was conveniently one vial of serum left after all the rest of them got pumped into Steve. And then he takes the one, shoots one guy,
Right.
and everyone's like, ah, there's a gun. And then he runs out of the facility.
I know. And it's kind of funny because it's like, you know, like Steve's character, like Steve, again, established in the movie, jumped on what he thought was a live grenade. Like, self-sacrifice is not a thing outside of Steve's wheelhouse. But in this moment, it's like this dude blows some shit up. Steve sees it. Then he, like, shoots Steve's buddy. And then he sees that. And then he starts running up a staircase and then shoots more people. And only then is Steve like, oh, you know what? Someone should probably do something about this guy.
But he was just transformed like 10 seconds ago. So, I mean, it's not like he's gone through his Captain America training yet and is ready to go take on a guy with a gun. Right? Like,
Yeah,
even in the
also-
moments where he's caught up to him, he's still hiding behind walls and stuff. Like, he doesn't know the extent of his power.
Yeah, that's
just
something
yet.
I really liked, was that they made him like very like weird and awkward, and he was like visibly untrained, right? Like, so he's
Yeah.
still the scrawny kid, just in a bigger body. And I think that was like, I mean, it was necessary for them to get that right, but they did get it right, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we see their loyalty to Hydra when he smashes that capsule and takes himself out while saying "Hail Hydra."
Well, but like right before that happens, there's a scene that I wanted to touch on where he the Hydra guy, he holds a child hostage and then like has a gun to a kid's head, which again, I said it in the Hulk, and I'm sure I will continue to say it, but like, really, if you want a character to be insanely villainous, you need to involve a child within
Or
the
a
scene,
dog.
because then that's like a child or a
Yeah.
dog, right? Because then that's like, oh my God, this man will go to any lengths for his villainy. Does he have no morals or boundaries? And as we can see, Hydra does not. And then he like takes the kid, and then he like throws the kid into water, right? There's this little canal that they're next to, and he ends up throwing the child into the water. And before Captain America jumps in the water to save the child, there's like a scene where he looks down into the water, and the kid's like, go get him, I can swim. And then he's like, ugh, and then he just keeps going. It was just so fucking weird.
Okay,
That
but
shit was
let's
so
play the
funny,
reverse.
dude.
Let's play the reverse. Captain America goes in and saves this kid from swimming in water. You would be
Right.
sitting here and going, why can't the kid swim? They didn't do anything to him. He didn't even get shot.
No. Like, sometimes both of you have made this point throughout this podcast, and I'm forced to cede it because I think that you're right. But I actually think in this context, like, no, he probably would have jumped in the water to save the drowning child. And I think that was just a problem that the writers had, where they were like, oh, but he throws the kid in, but then like Captain America, like, wouldn't he just jump into the water? And they're like, oh, fuck, yeah, you're right. Okay, so we need to get rid of this kid without actually killing the kid. But if the kid's incapacitated, then Steve's gonna try and like help him, and that's gonna mess up the whole chase sequence. It's like, oh, we'll just add in a scene of him in the water and then just get some random kid in post to say, hey, don't worry about it, I can swim, and then that will just sort of neatly tie this entire thing up. Like it just felt awkward. Like it was weird. Like it's obviously not the kid saying it. It's like something they recorded later, and it's just sort of thrown on the top of this like clip of a child in water.
Yeah,
like,
see, I didn't catch that, so maybe that's why it didn't.
I
ruin
didn't
my
think
experience.
I didn't think that was put in
I
post
thought
at
I
all.
saw the kid say it. Yeah, I saw it.
No, 100%, dude.
I'm gonna go back and watch that. I don't think
You
so.
go back and
I'll do
rewatch
it
Yeah,
right
and
now.
then and then after this podcast is released, we will tweet on our Twitter account whether you were right or not, because I don't remember.
Right.
I remember
by
seeing the
way,
kid say it.
Yeah, go. Like, listen, dude, if you've made it this far into the podcast, go follow our social media. What the fuck is wrong with
please.
you, dude? What? Okay, you've made it this far without following us on social media?
Yeah.
Come on, dude.
You've listened to more military propaganda in this podcast than you have our own social media. So
Right.
Yeah.
And if you join the military, then you don't have to follow our podcast.
There you go.
But
That's true.
you got to do your patriotic duty in one way or another.
that's true.
While you guys were busy
well-
shilling our social media, I literally went back and checked, and he does say it.
Yeah.
He visibly
Perfect.
says it.
Well, maybe he says it, but they definitely took.
No, they didn't.
No,
okay,
no.
you're wrong.
They
did.
Great,
They
you're
did.
wrong.
100%.
You're wrong. You're wrong. You're just wrong.
I don't
cool.
think so.
I'm glad
but
that you're
you know
wong.
what, Dan? Happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
Oh,
Dan.
Let's
okay.
continue.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Great. Well, we get a bunch more military propaganda now. This is a montage of Captain America going across the world and punching Hitler in the face. Again, a nod to all of the comic books at this time that would make superhero comics and make those superheroes go over to Germany and punch Hitler right in the face. No problem. And so now we get the tomato scene, and he's not doing so great in front of the military. We'll cede the point as to whether they knew they were going to bring those tomatoes or in advance, or if they always carry them around with them. They just carry tomatoes sometimes. You never know when you might need one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Military men and their tomatoes.
Yeah, it's fine. But at this point is where Steve actually finds out that Bucky didn't return from a mission in the 107th,
Oh, no.
and that he's either captured or killed, but it's unclear at this point. All we know is we're just signing a bunch of letters with condolences, and Bucky was one of those names. But, you know, Captain America, he doesn't let that stuff slide.
Great.
Yes.
I literally I have nothing to say about the middle of this movie. Like there.
Oh no! Hold on. I do have something to say. So something I want to add about this point that is just, I don't know, man. It's kind of another example of them just doing everything too on the nose for me. Is that like before he has to go rescue Bucky, there's a scene of him, and again, it's just the most on the nose shit where he's like drawing a dancing monkey dressed up as Captain America, which already at that point I'm like, okay, that's a little on the nose, bro. Like, you know, it's like the dancing monkey and the Captain America thing, whatever. But then in true MCU fashion, the hot girl comes up to him and is like, you know what, Steve, I think you could be so much more. And then she gestures to the book. It's like, then a dancing monkey. And it's just kind of like, it's like I got it. Like I already got it when he was drawing the dancing monkey. And even that was too on the nose. But then it's just like this thing where they're like, oh, but just to make sure that the audience totally understands what's happening at this point, that's a dancing monkey. And that's what he sees himself as. And now we need this extra exposition around this scene just to make it clear that this is how he feels. And it's like, of course that's how he feels. We already saw the scene of him drawing the thing.
But who's supposed to push him to take his next step without that moment?
She can push him to take his next step without using the words dancing monkey. That's like I don't have a problem with the arc of development. My thing is more like I'm just saying it's like I fucking get it. Like I get it, dude. Like he's drawing the dancing monkey and then he's talking about feeling like a dancing monkey and then she's like you don't have to be a dancing monkey. It's just like she can just come up and just be like, you know what? You could be so much more. I see you're upset right now. Let's continue. And then that would have just been like a subtle thing where he's like, because he's obviously discontent already when the scene is starting. Like it's just like I don't need to hear the phrase dancing monkey a million fucking times after I've already seen a dancing monkey that he's drawing.
Once again, these movies are made with children in mind.
It's true.
And that's not like
I'm not a child.
That's not like a slight against the writing. It's just making it more accessible.
It feels like you're kind of shitting on Dan on his birthday.
I would never shit on Dan on his birthday. That is not my intention.
It is your intention. I get it.
So and also just by the way, on his way to rescue well, because he comes to find that, like, a bunch of the army men are caught by Hydra Nazis, and now he needs to go save them. And lo and behold, how does he go save them? I'll tell you right now. He jumps from a fucking plane.
Yeah.
I forgot about this. It's another movie where someone's jumping from a plane.
It's another goddamn movie where they have a stupid fucking scene where the protagonist jumps from a plane, and I just think that this will never end. I'm beginning to get a sense that in every MCU movie, they're going to be like, how do we make it tense? And it's like, okay, well, check this out. The protagonist, it's like, he's not just going to go because, he has this motorcycle. He's this super guy. But what if he jumps from a plane? And then everyone's like, oh, yeah, fuck yeah, that's cool.
Well, but out of all of the plane jumping so far, this is probably the most... This one also makes the most sense, I would think, too.
Right, and here's the thing, fair, but my opinion is so soured. They should have saved the first plane jump for this movie, and I would have been like, all right. But at this point, it's just a trope. It's like every single Marvel movie, the protagonist jumps from a plane at some point.
Yep. Well, I will give a negative note here. Get ready. Here we go.
Uh-oh. Oh boy.
Breaking into this place with a giant USA flag shield was probably not the move.
Yeah, dude.
Like, sorry, Captain America, but in this dark lab with a giant, bright red, white, and blue flag on your back is just like, I don't know. That was a tough sell for me in that moment.
Yeah, they also kind of do the thing in this movie, which is, sort of a theme at this point where it's like the antagonists are like capable, militant, best technology, brilliant, they're this overwhelming force to be reckoned with until it's like kind of convenient for them to be bumbling idiots. And like the entire time that like Steve is breaking into this thing, it's like they're just sort of bumbling idiots. Like, how does no one see him? How does no one catch on to what's happening? It's like he's like not even really doing a stealth attempt or what. Like he's kind of half-heartedly doing it, but really he's just running through corridors, and for some reason no one's seeing him.
He's a super soldier. What can I say?
Yeah, he's very super.
You can't really say much more than that, I think. Also, in the theme of bullies, we get a fun scene of a Nazi or Hydra knocking a hat off of the head of an American soldier, which I just took note of because that's a classic bully move.
That's so true.
It's the classic bully move. He's just like, I got your hat. The guy's like, oh, not my hat.
I used to hit the hat off people all the time. So
it's a classic bully move.
I get it. Well, we do end up obviously releasing the soldiers because it's Captain America. We find Bucky and he's being tortured, which Bucky does not have a great track record with being tortured over the course of the MCU. So it was, again, another thing I had forgot about this was finding him in that moment. It's kind of funny that it's kind of a precursor to the future of Bucky's storyline. But obviously, you know what? they took him. They got him. They got him out of there, and they brought him all back.
Around this point in the movie too, this is about the halfway point. I went and I paused the film, and I turned to my wife Allison, and I asked her if she had any thoughts.
Perfect.
And her thoughts last week, I gotta say, I feel like they didn't go over as well as I had hoped. It seemed like you two didn't necessarily agree with her take, so I'm hoping that we can get her track record up a little bit this week. Just because. I think that she's an insightful individual with opinions on these things. So Allison's thoughts so far. Seems like an expensive anti-bullying campaign, which I agreed with. I think it's strange. A lot of people are obsessed with this. Also, kind of tend to agree with. I was expecting more from how many shirts and tattoos I see. Many people seem to personally identify with Captain America. So... That's the Allison segment. All right, no laughs,
Allie.
no comments.
Well, if this was the only Captain America movie and the only ever appearance of Captain America, then I would agree with those statements. But you're talking about an 11-year-old movie that has now had 3 more movies plus multiple appearances across other movies. So,
okay. I jotted that down. I will send
sure.
that up to Allison for review, and hopefully we'll get him next week.
Please give her that feedback for me. Thank you so much. I did want to make a note here too. While the music has gotten a little bit better, I think, especially in this movie, what I did notice is that there were little moments in this movie, especially as they go to capture all the other bases. It's kind of like a montage of capturing other bases and them destroying tanks and other Hydra agents and stuff. There's this one moment where Steve gets on one of the tanks, throws the bomb inside of it, closes it up, and then jumps off of it, right? And it's this big explosion underneath him. The music from that moment is used in Endgame in one of the biggest Captain America scenes, which again, because I've watched all that. It's crazy to, again, listen to these earlier things that were developed 11 years before that, or at that time, I guess maybe 9 years before that. And hear that same kind of moment of craziness for Cap jumping off this exploding tank was also used. That exact same kind of moment was used in Endgame as well. So I thought, again, the callbacks to not only lines but music and characters and everything else is again just kind of reinforcing my love of the MCU.
Sure.
Yeah. So I really like that moment there. He returns with all the missing people, with more guns, with tanks, all of that. Amazing.
Before he returns, something important happens, and normally I would just say, "Oh, okay, let's move past. We can just." But one of the most important plot point happens before he returns, which is, of course, that he has a fight on the bridge with the Hydra commander, and it is in this moment that the Hydra commander rips off the fake face that he's been wearing and reveals himself to be Red Skull, which I thought, frankly, again, uncharacteristic for me, that was pretty cool. I liked that. I will, however, say I thought it was kind of weird that he was like wearing a mask in the first place, because then he like takes the mask off and then he's just never wearing a mask again, and it's kind of like, what was why?
Well,
Why even?
The point was that he was associated with the Nazis before that, but he made his clear marker at that point when he killed those people who came to see his weapons progress.
Right.
That he was going to take down Berlin, that he was going to take down the rest of the world, that he was going to try to take over, and that threw the Nazis to the side. And I think once the veil lifted, that he was no longer interested in Hydra being just an arm of the Nazis.
Right.
He then lifted the physical veil.
Right, but he like waits to do it until he fights Captain America,
because he got punched in the face.
Word.
And his mask, like, you saw his eye, the eye part like came down and you could see the red, right?
Sure. All right, yeah, I retract that. I can live with it.
That's another win
Boom.
for my birthday.
Yeah, easy enough, dude.
Another birthday win. No, you're right. I actually missed that part in my notes there. So thank you for bringing that up, because I really liked the design of the Red Skull.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought his design was great. I mean, the thing that I was kind of really surprised by is the fact that they got the nose so good, and it didn't look like his face was bigger. Right? It didn't look like his face was like bloated to make room for this concave nose. I thought that was really
No,
cool.
I think, like, honestly, dude, Red Skull, absolute highlight of the MCU, 100% coolest villain that we've seen on screen so far. Kind of saved this movie for me, realistically, because I didn't like anything else. But then Red Skull had scenes, and I was like, "Oh, that's fucking cool, dude!" Like, Red Skull's just cool. Like,
Yeah.
I'd like to see a movie, but Captain America's not in it, and we just follow around Red Skull. Like, that would be a fun movie.
Yeah, sure.
And
Yeah, wow.
during that part, the bridge separating, and it's both Cap and Red Skull on separate sides of the bridge as it's moving apart, and there's just explosions of the lab under. I wish they had held that shot for a bit longer than they did, because that would have been like a sick, just like cinematography section of the movie.
Yeah.
But they literally just they gloss over it, dude. It was like maybe a second and a half of a cool shot, and they're like, "Nah, fuck this. Like, we don't want you to see that." And that kind of made
We're out.
That kind of made me
Well,
angry.
they ran out of
Yeah.
time. They needed to extend the dancing monkey part.
Yeah.
Right, yeah,
so-
exactly. They spent all that time explaining why Steve Rogers would jump on a hand grenade.
Okay. All right. Well, he returns. He's brought back people. He's brought back guns. He's brought back tanks. Howard Stark is able to look into this technology, all of that. But the most important part here is Cap's starting to get in touch with the ladies, it seems. A
little bit.
Yeah, one. Now, this is also a famous actress. I forgot to look her up before
She's from Game of
this
Thrones.
happened. Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
That's where it was.
And also,
dude.
then she got a
Okay.
part in like the Hunger Games or something.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I've never seen
yeah.
that.
I never watched the movie, but I heard about it. So
Yeah, I'm sure you haven't. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also kind of like within this segment, just a point I wanted to touch on is that after he comes back with all of the captured soldiers, there is him and Tommy Lee Jones have a little conversation. And he's like, "Okay, I accept you now, Captain America. I was wrong about you before, I think, but now I see the value that you probably have. So we're going to put together a team, and we're gonna go take down Hydra with the team. And I'm putting together my best men." To which Captain America responds, "With all due respect, sir, so am I." But then, like, his best men are just, like, 6 guys that he, like, just met who had just been captured by Nazis, 40 minutes ago that he then had to break out of prison. I'm just like, that's, like, it's, like, convenient. That's very convenient.
But they also helped him take down the other bases as well.
Right, but they got caught in the first place, and
Sure,
were
when they were-
completely incapable of doing anything without it. Like, they
when
would have
they
just
were
died
going up
there.
against an enemy they weren't aware of or weren't
Right.
necessarily prepared for based on the type of weapons that they had.
yeah.
So I don't
Right,
think
also-
that's
but-
unreasonable.
But I mean, also he has no basis to really call these best men. Like, he doesn't know that.
That's
like,
true.
I mean, sure, they all escaped from the base together, but I mean, he literally was completely unaware that these people existed, and then he's just like, "I'm putting together a crack team. It's these 6 guys I just met."
I'm on the Christian camp of thought in this scenario, because you're giving me a thumbs down.
Yes.
Because
Only for you to see.
because this has to be one of those moments where they're putting in characters that are important to, like, maybe the comics or something, but like if you hadn't read the comics, then you have no idea who these guys are, because these guys get, especially the dude, the bowler hat, like, he gets
Yeah.
a lot of screen time, and I just had no idea who the fuck he was. So he must
Yeah.
have been a character, right? He shows up later on too, like in What If, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I'm just wondering who the hell this guy is.
This guy also plays Damien Dark in The Flash,
In The
Green
Flash,
Arrow, all of those TV shows on DC. So again, just an interesting other actor that shows up in other superhero things or becomes big after this. Kind of cool.
Yeah, but you know, and I also want to say I wasn't even trying to derail. I just wanted to get to that point. But yeah, that like makeout scene with that lady from
was
Game
hot.
of Thrones. The fuck was that,
That was
dude?
hot, is
Like
what it
it's
was.
like that.
I mean, come on. Like, is it that unreasonable? Does that not
Yes.
happen to rock stars? Does that not happen to celebrities? Does that not happen to other people, like, in those types of moments?
But it was just one of those things where it's like her only thing in the movie was just to like create a point of tension between the protagonist and the main love interest. And it like didn't need to be there, and if it was never there, the movie wouldn't have changed. Like it was a complete like because
very true.
him and the main love interest, they just end up making out later anyway. It was just this weird point of tension that did nothing. And sometimes when these things happen, I'm like, it didn't really do anything. But this instance in particular, it did
No.
nothing.
It did
Like,
do
was
something.
Not
it did do
anything.
something. You know what it did? It caused her to shoot him,
shoot the shield. Yeah.
to prove
Yep.
how
Okay.
good the shield was. That's what it did.
Yep, the Vibranium
Right,
Shield,
yeah.
which is the first time we're hearing of Vibranium. It will not be the last time we hear about Vibranium.
Oh, no, it won't.
And we find out that. Oh, no. But now we have the Cap Shield, the famous Cap Shield, which we saw at the start of the movie in the ice. So now things are starting to come together.
We also saw it in Iron Man 2, the second Iron Man.
That is true. Wow, your knowledge of the MCU is really great at this point. Keep it up.
Yep. Which I'm also kind of like, but like, why was it like at like Stark Lab at that point?
'Cause it
If
was
it was
made
like
by-
buried in ice, is
It was made by Stark.
right. But like, he's like, there's this one vibranium shield that we have, and it's like buried in ice in Antarctica. But like also it's at Stark's lab in like where like are there two Captain America shields and he just has like another one like how did the shield go from Antarctica to Stark's lab in the second one?
Well, what we find out is vibranium is not as rare as people think it is. Vibranium makes many more appearances, so it's not unreasonable to think that Howard Stark made another
Right,
shield.
but at that point, he's like, we only have this one Captain America shield, and that's like Stark's dad, and then like, so then like, even if there is a second Captain America shield, like, then like Captain America gets buried in ice, and then Stark makes another Captain America shield, like while Stark is because he never makes it back to the United States. Like Captain America goes down and he's never back in the United States after that shield is developed. So then it's like they just like made another shield with the Captain America thing on it.
It's like developed later on that Howard Stark was a big fan of Captain America even after he passed. So it wouldn't be a stretch for him to like do that in honor of him or something like that.
To have like another shield. Okay, word. Yeah, I can, you know what? I can live with that, but it seems like it's an oversight that they explained after the fact.
Okay, so now we are ready to zip line onto this incoming train because this is where Dr. Zola's going to be. This is where we're going to take down kind of the smart factor of this duo between Red Skull and Dr. Zola. And guess what? It's a trap. I know. You didn't see it coming.
What?
Yeah, you didn't see it coming, but guess what? They knew that Cap was going to be there. They knew that these guys would try to take out this train, and they were ready for it with their specialty guns. And so Bucky, Cap, and I think there was one other person with them, right? But I don't remember what happened to that third person now that I think about it, because the focus was really on Bucky and Cap. And in this moment, they fight these two guys. They shoot guns at each other. There's a lot of fighting. But I think the big moment here is really Bucky. In the fact that the side of this train gets blown off, Bucky's holding onto the side, and you think this is a classic Captain America save. But it's not. And they actually let Bucky fall into this ravine. For the people who have read the comics or are familiar with Marvel, Bucky is not just Bucky in the future. Bucky becomes Captain America's sidekick in the future, and there's more to him. But in this moment, they really sell the fact that this guy is falling to his death, which, again, not a thing that I remembered, but they really sold the fact that, like, hey, this isn't a hint that Bucky's coming back. This is it. This is the Bucky death scene.
Yep.
Yeah, true. That's facts.
I agree with
facts,
that.
bro.
Great. Now that Bucky's dead, that means that now they, Cap has a real mission now, and that's revenge.
Revenge.
That is revenge. We do get the cool motorcycle here with the Cap shield on the front. This is actually kind of a thing that I think comes up at least one more time with a motorcycle with a Cap shield on the front. I think here it's obviously in a very old school motorcycle, but I believe they bring it back.
And this is also a thing that they already did in a movie called Star Wars.
What? Really?
What?
Yeah, it's like when they're on that like forest planet and they're like zipping through the trees on their like speed bikes. It's like that's Star Wars, bro. Like this is like 100% of Star Wars. Like it like if not a reference, at the very least, it's like inspired by the movie Star Wars, because this is like literally it's like Luke and Leia on the speed bikes, and then all the stormtroopers are behind them, and then they're like pew pew, like and then he has like he has to zip through trees and whatever.
I mean, sure. But you could also
it's a Star Wars moment. What the fuck?
I mean, it's not a Star Wars moment. How can you
possibly take issue? It's a complete Star Wars moment.
So is every single car chase or motorcycle chase a Star Wars moment?
No, but just like the way that it's shot and like how it keeps being like there's two dudes behind them and then they're using tricks through trees to get rid of them, and then more people are peeling in from the forest. It's a Star Wars moment, dude.
Yeah, I think the
I
forest part makes it a Star Wars moment.
It's for sure a Star Wars moment.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like I said, if not a direct reference, at the very least, I mean, the director has seen Star Wars at some point. You know what I mean? Like it's like at some point throughout the filming of this, someone was like, "Oh yeah, didn't like Star Wars like do a thing?" It's like it for sure. It's just a classic Star Wars moment.
Sure. Okay, well, I'll let you have it. And
no, thank you very much.
Yeah, for my birthday, I'm gonna let you have it. You're welcome.
That's very gracious of you. I appreciate it.
Of course. Well, at this point, Cap gets captured.
Oh,
what?
I see what you did there.
What? I mean,
that's insane.
I will. I'm gonna be honest in this moment. Like, come on, guys. If Cap, I mean, he's not that stupid. I mean, at this point, he's taken out multiple of your bases, and you think he's just like gonna show up solo and you're gonna capture him and you're gonna take him inside and everything's gonna be like that easy. I don't know. That part, if anything, in the whole movie was the one thing that pulled me out of that moment, because I was like, come on.
Yeah.
I don't know. You surround Captain America and he just gives up and lets you bring him inside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I also kind of think that like Hydra's thing is sort of like they like the Schmidt or whatever. He has like a gigantic ego. He doesn't feel like anything could ever possibly take him on.
Yeah.
So it's like whatever, his own pride set the trap that then Captain America ends up springing.
Yeah, true. Well, he's able to at least in this moment. There's three guys that zip line in, break through the windows. These zip lines, I don't know where these zip lines are all coming from.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, I assume they didn't already exist going into these windows, but
it's proprietary Stark tech, bro.
You know what? That's a good answer.
That's a good one, yeah.
I mean, I like really, you can just explain away anything in this universe, but it's like, no, dude, the Starks, they were on that.
Yeah, it's got some sweet zipline tech.
One of my least favorite tropes in like just movies in general is the trope where the villain's got the hero or whoever is the good guy in the scenario, and they've got the gun to their face and they're gonna shoot. But something happens like 50 feet away, and they're like, oh, no, I'm distracted. I can't shoot the gun anymore. I need to, like, turn my attention to these people now. And then the hero gets away.
Yeah.
And I literally cringe every single time it happens.
Or the villain gets away, right?
Yeah. No. the
No,
hero
the hero gets away without getting
Yeah.
shot.
Oh,
in
gets
the
away without
head.
getting shot.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
gotcha. Yeah. Because in this moment here, he's able to get the Tesseract and bring it with him to this giant, huge plane. And so Cap's going to have to go after him to try to stop him from launching on that plane. And
Right.
I when I saw this again, I definitely forgot. I knew that there was a plane. I knew it had to be crashed, but I did not remember the fact that there were like multiple different bombs with the city names on them.
Dude, I thought that was so dumb.
funny,
That was
man.
like,
I was like,
Yeah.
I can't wait. I mean, I was like, I can't wait to hear Christian's thoughts on this.
I
as
know,
soon as I
dude.
saw
Well,
the
because
city names.
it's like someone's like putting like like the giant spooky Hydra bomb in the port, and they're just like, "No, you fool, that's the New York bomb." And it's like,
Yeah.
oh,
I just
okay,
imagine
my
a guy
bad.
just like painting the names of the cities. This one goes to Chicago, and this one goes to Boston. This little
Yep.
piggy went to New York.
Right.
Yeah, that was a tough one for me to hold on to. We get the car driving down the runway to catch up with the plane, which I don't remember personally if the car had made a previous appearance in that moment, but somehow they had the car and it had a turbo booster in it that could catch them up to this plane that's going down a runway to take off.
Yeah, they straight up
don't-
clutched the nos on that one, dude.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was also I thought, and maybe this is also kind of part of why I liked Hydra as villains, because they it seems like they were able to push the envelope of evil a bit, and we
Yeah.
get a fun scene where someone is sucked into a propeller and then
That was fucking
eviscerated,
dope.
which I was like, that's dope.
Yeah.
That's good. Like, more of that, please. Like, people were actually getting shot with blood exploding out of the back of them in this movie, and I was like, that's cool. I would like more of that in my Marvel movies, please.
Well, starting the next one, we're going to Disney. So you tell me
Yeah,
if you think that's going to increase.
So R.I.P., dude.
Yeah, so we get the car scene here, and that's when Cap gets the kiss from Peggy. But you
Yeah.
know what? Tommy Lee Jones isn't going to kiss
No.
you, so don't even think about it.
Right.
dream
I know
of
you
I
were
did
thinking
think
about
about it.
I know.
I was thinking about it, yeah.
I know. And we get the fight between Red Skull and Cap now on this plane. I really liked at the start of the fight, I was like, wait, I kind of don't remember this, and I was like, how big could this fight really be? And
Yeah.
then when they hit the wheel, it's not a wheel. What do you call it?
Yeah, I
The-
was trying to figure out what to call that. Also,
The yoke?
the
Isn't that what you call it? The yoke? The yoke?
what? What are you saying?
Yeah, the thing that you steer a plane with.
Oh, dude, I have zero knowledge about
Because it's not a steering wheel, obviously. right?
You know what? I got to give it to you, Dan. Just Googled it. You were right. It's called a yoke.
Shit.
Hey, amazing. I am a genius.
Look at you go, dude.
I am a
I know.
genius.
Happy
I'm
birthday,
like,
Dan.
Happy birthday, Dan. Damn.
Okay. Yeah, so when they hit that and the plane starts going straight down and they have this like low gravity fight, I thought that was awesome. What a cool like moment to utilize the low gravity and see them utilize that for the fight. I thought that was fun.
I don't know. I almost sort of like took like the opposite approach to this, which like, of course, but like I sort of felt like this last battle was like a little anticlimactic for me because it was over pretty quickly, and any of like the cool shit like you're mentioning, like it just all happened like so fast.
Sure.
And this is like my bias towards this, but again, Red Skull, by far the coolest guy that I have seen in the MCU, so far. I just kind of wished that they had like made that last scene feel like a little bit more impactful or like a little, I don't know, like drawn out. Because like, I think it's kind of fucked up when it's like the Hulk kind of has a better ending, like send off to the villain than like Captain America gets, but because the Hulk was like by far a much worse movie, but like the last kind of like fight scene in the Hulk like felt really fucking epic. And then, the last fight scene in this, it was just kind of like two guys punching each other, and then he gets the Tesseract, and now we're done, and now he's on a mission of self-sacrifice.
Yeah, I actually don't disagree. I thought the fight was pretty short. I think that they did the low gravity thing to kind of make up for it a bit,
Yeah.
but obviously, yeah, it wasn't as impactful as I think it could have been.
Yeah.
I will definitely agree.
My thing about the fight was that there were stakes when Red Skull had his little pew pew blaster gun, and it was him shooting at Cap, and Cap had the shield, and so like these guys are both superhuman, so we know that like them wailing on each other isn't going to do anything, right? Like the punches don't really make us feel like they hurt. So the only thing that does give stakes is the gun. So once they take the gun out, then I'm like, okay, no one's gonna fucking die here. So I was just kind of waiting for them to introduce more stakes, but then they kind of did with like them ramming
it's sort
into
of
the
a
yoke.
classic Iron Man versus Iron Man
exactly.
scenario
That's what I was
where
thinking.
they're just gonna kind of be punching each other, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
Well, this is when the Tesseract is taken out and then engulfs Red Skull, which is a thing that I forgot happened. I didn't realize how Red Skull was going to be taken out here. But it's actually kind of interesting now having that context, again, knowing kind of the future and where he might pop up again.
Yeah. Without like spoiling anything, did you, Dan, think that they had a plan for this going forward, or do you think they just made it up later on?
I think they probably made it up later on.
Okay.
But I think they did that by utilizing this kind of leftover moment. Because we don't really see him die. And in fact, it almost is reminiscent of the Bifrost, right? When he gets taken out in that moment. He's kind of teleported in almost a Bifrost-ish kind of way.
Yeah, and you can kind of see like the space portal open up from the Tesseract behind him and stuff. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And then the Tesseract falls straight down through the ground, through the plane, and all the way to this bottom of the sea, which we find out, which is why later on when Howard Stark does find the Tesseract, he doesn't find any remnants of Captain America's plane, because the Tesseract doesn't fall with the plane, it falls previous to it. Right? Because I thought that might be a thing where it's like, well, wait, if you found the Tesseract, why doesn't he find it? But yeah, so it falls directly through. Stark is able to find that, which, again, is another part that I didn't remember, which is Howard Stark finding the Tesseract, which lines up for future storylines as well. To remember that in this moment in the 1940s, the Tesseract is now in Howard Stark's possession. John, did you see this in movie theaters when it first came out?
I did.
Okay. So now that Tesseract's gone, Cap is in this plane. He's going to take it into the ice. And now, Christian, I'm here to hear your thoughts on Cap's sacrifice in dodging and throwing this plane into the ice because it's going to land in New York if he doesn't.
I don't even know if I really have like too much witty bants to give about that. Like it's just kind of like the way that the movie was written. This is literally the only way that it could have ended, and then they ended it like this, and then that's just sort of how I felt about it. Like, I think that, you know, a lot of the MCU kind of seems to revolve around heroic self-sacrifice that doesn't actually kill anybody, and this is just kind of one of those moments where it's like, he would have died for the cause, but conveniently enough, it never actually came to that. But that's the mettle of the man. He's a great guy, but there's no stakes ever because, you know, he could have died there, but he didn't die there. And now he wakes up and it's 70 years later and now the world has changed. And it's just kind of like, whatever. Like, it was an ending to a movie, you know, that's kind of like...
I will say, and the reason why I asked if you saw it in theaters is maybe I just misremembered it, but I could have sworn that Cap waking up 70 years later was a mid-credit scene.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing, but it might just be us misremembering it.
Yeah, maybe, because I feel like they ended it with the crash and then like Peggy, and then that was kind of it fading out, and that was the end. And then the post or mid-credit scene was Cap wakes up, he finds out he's in the future, Nick Fury shows up, end scene, it's 70 years later, right?
Yeah.
Either I'm misremembering it or they re-edited it for
that's possible.
Disney Plus streaming.
That's really possible.
Yeah, well, and that's it. That brings us now. Captain America is 70 years in the future we now have the backstory to Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, a little bit of Black Widow, almost none of Hawkeye, and we are next going to head into the Avengers. But
wow,
yeah. So it's been we're almost through phase 1, but as we get through the end of this movie here, our favorite segment of the show. Christian, tell us something you liked about this movie, non-ironically.
Yeah, I've already kind of been saying it, but like I think Hydra's fucking badass, dude. Like it was like they're super fun villains, and I think that all of the actors that portrayed like every member of Hydra did a really, really good job of being cartoonishly evil while also like selling it in a way that didn't feel cheesy. And that's kind of been my issue with a lot of the MCU stuff up until now, is that a lot of the evilness feels like cheesy evil. But like these dudes were like over the top while still giving these very, very good performances. So it didn't necessarily feel out of place for the world that they were in, you know?
Sure.
And Red Skull's just fucking cool, dude. Like, Red Skull's badass. Like I said, I would totally go and watch a Red Skull movie on my own volition if it was just following him around as he vaporized people in the United States Army.
Sick.
But okay. I do support the troops.
Sure, of course.
Yeah, so conversely, Dan, it's now your turn as the birthday boy. I mean, even if it wasn't your birthday, this would still be your time to speak.
Right.
What's your least favorite part about this movie?
I feel like there was a lot of good buildup for Red Skull that didn't pay off strong enough for how good I feel like the villain was. So, like, I like that they added the low gravity at the end for the fight, but it was just kind of trying to band-aid the fact that they couldn't really think of a better way in that moment to extend it. And I'm going to throw a second thing out, which is the plane going into the ice. I don't think they made a compelling enough case that that was the only option. I think that if they had literally just done one thing, which is added a timer, like they had the timers in the facilities where they blew them up. If they added a timer that was like, we know how long it takes to get there, we want them to explode at the right time, and we don't want anyone to mess with this, like these bombs are all going to be on a timer and they're all going to go off at a certain time, then maybe it could have added to the compelling need for Steve to take this directly down before he got too close to the eastern seaboard, right? But I still don't, and maybe there's someone out there or an article or someone that can make me understand it better. I still don't have the compelling reason as to why he needed to take it down and why that would make it so that none of those bombs would go off.
That's fair. I agree.
Yeah.
That was my gripe too. Maybe we'll save my final thoughts for after I rate it.
After the rating, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. Christian's specialty ratings.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here. All right, might hit you guys with something that will surprise you. I'm gonna go ahead and give Captain America, the First Avenger. You've been waiting for it. This gets a 4 from me.
That's what I thought you were gonna give it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought so
because
too.
I liked it more than Iron Man and Iron Man 2, and I believe I rated those 3, so it stands to reason that this one would have to be 4 because I liked it. And beyond even liked it, I liked it a lot more. But really, this is like the first one that we've watched where I actually like unironically enjoyed segments of it. Because, again, I thought Hydra was cool, I thought Red Skull was cool, and I appreciated the fact that, like, people actually got gored. That was fun. People get shot, blood's exploding out of dudes, people are getting sucked into airplane engines, like, you know, and even sort of like when Red Skull gets punched in the face for the first time, it, like, does like the body horror kind of thing where now his face is like slanted and weird. Like there were actual moments in this movie, which I was, by the way, very surprised by, because I figured if I was going to unironically hate anything from Phase 1 MCU, it probably would have been the Captain America movie.
Yeah.
And I'm pleasantly surprised that this is the one that I actually liked the most, which, by the way, doesn't save it from all the things that I didn't like, but Red Skull and Hydra were really cool. I hope we get to see more of that.
Cool. I would say that, again, as I've watched through all these movies in Phase 1, they're better than I remember them being, but I think mostly because I've forgotten a lot of what happens in these movies. I would put this at like a 6.8. That's what I would say for this.
Really?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it had a good villain.
You thought Thor was better than this movie?
What did I rate Thor?
I think you rated Thor like a 7.
I don't think I did. Did I? I thought I rated it a 6.
I don't know.
I would say I like this better than Thor.
Well, then 7.2.
Okay. Well, I think we all need to go back and look at our ratings.
Right, sure.
We need to like make a document and like list all of our ratings.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's better if our ratings aren't lined up properly throughout all of these. It's just how we're feeling in the moment.
Yeah, that's
okay.
true.
Sure.
Yeah.
You
so
could do it
that's
that
where
way.
I go.
I'm not going to do it that way.
Okay. Go ahead, John. Let us know.
All right. You said you gave it a 6.8? Is that am I correct? You're
6.8.
locking that in.
And I liked it better than Thor.
Okay. But you're locking that number in.
I'm locking it in.
All right, so
Oh, he's gonna price this right, dude.
I'm gonna make some podcast history here and rate it higher than Dan. I'm gonna give it a solid 7 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love it.
Congratulations, Captain America, the First Avenger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought this movie was extremely cheesy, but in a way where I was like, you know what? I accept it. I accept the cheesiness. The script was like very by the numbers, but it did everything fairly well, and it delivered on some of the coolest CG. Well, like we mentioned before, the CG, I think we would chalk it up under the term VFX because technically it wasn't really CGI. But it had some of the coolest VFX stuff for the first third of the movie with Skinny Steve, and it gave me like the first really good moment personally with Steve and Agent Carter kind of making plans to be on a date as he fucking launched himself into Antarctica. I think that was one of the coolest moments for me. And it sets up for a lot of what happens later on in the MCU. So, yeah, this movie got me really stoked to watch the rest of the movies, which I was not feeling prior to this movie. I actually was super unexcited to watch any of the previous movies, but now I'm like,
dude,
stoked.
I was like dreading watching. I would because I was like getting caught up on the new season of Better Call Saul last night, and then and I was like, it's so fucking good. And then I would like looked and I was like, oh, it's like 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I
like,
gotta
watch
this
fucking
movie,
Captain
dude.
America, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely was better than I thought it was going to be based on my memory of it. But I think as I watch all the newer movies, the older ones like just got ranked lower in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So to rewatch them again is pretty cool to see.
Yeah,
So
I'm really stoked.
thanks
going
for
forward.
Yeah, word. Any final thoughts there, John?
No, I think those were my final thoughts. I'm really excited for the rest of the series, and I hope everyone listening is too.
All right, hell yeah. Yo, thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see
Catch you
you
next
again
time.
next time. And if you made it this far, fucking subscribe or download our podcast. What the hell? You've listened to it for this long, and if you haven't done that, that's insane of you. So
True.
go do that.
True. All right, bye everybody.
Bye.
Bye.